Hi, it's Ricky from Moshville Times here once again. This time I'm delighted to welcome post-black metal band from Manchester, Agvirre. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Tonight we've got bassist David and we've got guitarist, vocalist Chris. Now, if you've not listened to Agvirre before, they play post-black metal, which basically involves experimenting with the black metal sound, but not being refined to its limits, but also not forgetting the roots. So I just thought I'll ask you guys, how have you guys been since all this lockdown nonsense has started? Have you guys been okay? Your friends and family all okay?
Yeah. We can still go to work. We've still been able to meet up in our private rehearsal rooms. So yeah. We've still been sort of active as a band. It was, we put out our first EP, the Silence EP, in January 2020, and then we played our first show in March.
Yeah.
And then a week later, it was a pandemic, and we didn't see each other for months. So kind of killed the momentum a bit.
It's surprising how many people that was the last gig for as well. You know, I mean, 100-year-old man. Yeah, I was looking at them and they said, we haven't played live since March 2020, you know, which was our last gig as well, wasn't it? So we're not the only ones, are we, really? You know?
Yeah.
Well, that's the valid point. It's not as if you're falling behind anybody. We're all in the same brush.
Yeah.
But it's good to see, though, that Facebook posts have been starting to put up flyers and gigs and stuff like that. But you know what? We're going to talk about gigs later on and things like that. We'll carry on with the questions that I've got for you. So with the lockdown and the shit year that was 2020, it's extremely pleasing to hear that you guys have been very busy at it and you released a single in March entitled The Letting Go. So how did you guys feel about finally getting out there for the masses to hear after probably a year in hibernation?
Yeah, really good. That song had been knocking around for a while. We played at our first show in March 2020 as well. So that was the one we closed the set with, actually. So it was originally going to be going out on a split with another band, but that fell through. And then we saw that Sheffield band Dead Cosmonauts, they were looking for someone to put out a split with. And we were like, hey, we've got a song. But it was really good because it's our shortest song, and it was all the songs on Silence are really long and they're like 12 minutes long and they're very windy and weird. So it was nice to do more of it's like our pop song, really, you know.
Yeah.
Challenge to do that.
It's also our fastest song, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also quite good for myself. I'll be doing, like I said to Chris earlier on, I'll be doing a radio show tonight as well. So it'll be quite good to play it on the airwaves because it's only like 4.5 minutes long rather than a 12.5-minute epic, you know. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I'll be looking forward to playing it later on. So sorry, just going back to the gig experience then, is that the only gig that you've played?
No, we've done two. We did a live stream as well. Obviously not to an audience.
That was in March. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a socially distanced gig where people had to sit at tables. So it was good. Yeah. But we're looking forward to having that energy with the crowd again.
Yeah. I think cannot wait. Up in Scotland, it's not open yet. There's absolutely no gigs at all just as yet. We're usually 3 weeks behind you guys. So hopefully it'll be happening in the near future because can't wait to stage dive off bars once again, as I did in my last gig that I went to. So I sometimes forget my age, you know. But also, before we go any further, any Badgerfest band that I interview, I apologise, John, because I normally wear my Badgerfest long sleeve top, but it's 35 degrees outside, mate, so it's just a t-shirt tonight. You were lucky I wasn't doing it topless because it's so warm. But so that single was released in March then. I'm just wondering if now that bands are able to meet up again, have you started writing new material?
Yeah, we're we're pretty well ahead of the game. So we've recorded our second EP with Joe Clayton at No Studio in Manchester. He plays in Pine Unleashed. He's a local legend.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that'll come out by the end of the year. We're just like looking into things, all the behind the scenes stuff. It's recorded, it's mastered, it's ready to go, really.
So for those that are new to the band then, David, how would you say it compares to the sound of your earlier material then?
Well, like me and French were talking the other day, and it's nice because there is a definite progression there. You know, we've built as a band. You know, I'm on the first EP. I wasn't involved with any of that. You know, I've just had to learn the songs to play live. But this one, we've pretty much all written it together. You know, written the bass parts, written the drum parts. Everyone's had a say in it. You know, it's been good coming together. Spending studio time as well. You know, in January, we spent a week in the studio, which was a great time. What better do you want to do in the middle of January? You know, get holed up in the studio and just bug each other to death, you know. So it was brilliant. Yeah, it was a good experience.
Yeah. Cool. So Chris, with David bringing his influence in then, was he bringing all the Motley Crue influences and the Poison, or?
Oh, totally. Yeah, we've gone full cock rock hair metal for the next one.
You can tell, you know, hairspray had its effect, you know.
A welcome addition then, because has the pressure, has it mostly been yourself that's been doing the writing, and David's a most welcome addition to the writing process?
Yeah, so when we did the Silence EP, it was a very different process because it started with just me and Ricardo, who's our guitarist, and we were just like, we weren't a band, we hadn't played live, we just assembled a group of musicians to like play that record. So we sort of just wrote it ourselves. But now we're like a functioning band with a proper lineup. So yeah, like Dave said, we've all got to contribute to the writing, and I feel like it's brought us to the next level, and there's more intensity in the performance, and yeah, it's going to be really good.
Good.
So it's going to be similar to Silence in that the songs are longer and they go to lots of different places. Yeah.
So did you have a discussion as to whether it was going to be an EP or whether it was going to be an album? I mean, your two longer songs on the Silence EP were 12 minutes each, weren't they? So if you maybe do another one or two songs, you can classify that as an album, or are you just going to do like a 2-song EP again, or what are you thinking?
I think the idea, we're going to do like a trilogy of EPs. So we've, the second one we've recorded, we've already pretty much written the third one as well.
Right.
So we're ahead of the game.
I think a full album of us might be a bit intense, you know. So EPs is just like a drip feed, isn't it? You know, just into the universe. Just try some of this before we hit you with some sort of concept album that's probably need eight LPs to cover it or something like that, you know. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I was going to say, like, if you'd done 8 songs at 12 minutes long, you would lose the interest. So maybe the EP's the right way to go for you guys.
I think it suits us. Yeah.
Yeah, at the moment, we'll probably do an album eventually, but don't know. We haven't planned for it, or we don't know how it'll go. So we'll just play it as we go, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So with you guys not being able to rehearse for a certain length of time, then how did you keep on communicating your ideas to each other?
We all have a group chat, and we were able to just play from home. I mean, did a little bit of writing from home, but it wasn't until we were allowed to go back in the room that's when things really started happening. Yeah.
It seems to be that you're quite frantic songwriters then, but David, is Chris the guy that would send you a riff at 4 o'clock in the morning and stuff? Or is it the other way?
There's some brainstorming goes on, isn't there? Yeah.
A lot of it's just done in the room, actually. Like, when we first started, we used to do a lot of demos just because it's just me and Ricardo. But yeah, now we sort of jam together in the room and put it all together in person. Yeah, so we prefer doing things that way now.
Yeah, I have to ask this question, otherwise I'll go in a huff then. So, being from Manchester then, and you needed a drummer, and there's this wee small local promoter, I think. His name's John Badger. So how did you just ask him and he was like, yes, straight away? Or did you put him through? I hope you put him at least 3 auditions to get in.
Not quite. We wanted to ask him straight away. We're a bit scared because he was already in 27 bands and running a festival. So we're like, oh, he'll never say yes. But then I think he ended up hearing, we put out some like teaser videos with like little bits of demos we'd done online, and he'd heard those and that we'd had this new project going. So he ended up coming to us and was like, oh, have you got a drummer? I was like, oh, we were going to ask you, but we were too scared. So that worked out good.
It's quite funny though. Like when Badgerfest runs, he's just going to be sitting in the drum kit for 3 days and just not know the amount of bands that he's in.
We'll keep him well lubricated. Don't worry. Yeah. Just give him a straw straight to the pump or something there. You know, he'll be all right.
Aye.
Yeah, we always say if anything happens to Badger, the Manchester metal scene just dies. So you got to protect him.
That's what I have noticed as well. I mean, I've also joined the group 0161, and it seems to be vibrant. There's a hell of a good scene in Manchester. So respect to you guys. But also not being able to get together for a long period of time, has it made you look at the more business side of the band as well, like keeping the name out there, a wee bit of marketing, selling merch and things like that? Has it made you look at that? It's things that you normally do.
I think we're pretty rubbish at that, really.
No.
we have some t-shirts, but I don't know. We don't really.
You've kept it alive. You know, you've done a good job with the Instagram and the Facebook side of it and everything. And we've done the best thing we could possibly do in a lockdown, which was keep our heads down, write some songs, and just have something to show at the end of it there, ready for the live stuff as well. So, but yeah, we've kept the impetus going. You know, kept people interested. It's been pretty proactive, I'd say.
Yeah,
we're just ready for them gigs now, really. You know.
As is everybody. But talking about the recording of the Letting Go then, and maybe even the debut EP, will there be anything that you'll be taking going forward to the next release, like the way it's recorded? Are you using the same people, the same studio, the same mix and mastering, or are you doing anything different?
So yeah, the Silence EP and the Letting Go, they were both recorded with Chris Taylor at Noise Boy Studios in Salford.
Yeah.
Those were great experiences. And then for the one that's going to be coming out next, we recorded with Joe at No Studio, which was also great. So when it comes to recording number 3, I don't know what we're going to do. We've not decided yet. But, we love being in the studio. Like, it's a really fantastic experience. Something we recommend, like every band does. It's sort of like where the magic happens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Being a vocalist, though, can it be a lot of pressure on yourself, like recording the vocals, like doing it line by line and say no? The guy's saying no, I want more.
I think I always give more. I just like scream like a loony. So I don't know. Yeah. It was all right, actually. From the last time when we recorded with Joe, we just remember it being really cold because it was in January. And it did take us, like, all of us took a few takes to like really warm up because it was just so cold. It's like the opposite of what it is now. No, in terms of like getting the recordings done, like, I don't know, I think we all felt pretty comfortable, especially like we all know Joe anyway, and same with when we worked with Chris, like people we were already friends with who recorded us, so it just made it more relaxing. Like.
So what did you record first? What instrument did you record first?
Always start with the drums. Yeah, so Badger.
Yeah.
Is first up.
What? Yeah, you're fine. Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's all right. This is live, ladies and gentlemen. This is live. So, how are the songs constructed in the studio then? I mean, are there the main songwriters to the songs, or is Agvirre a band where all members contribute?
Yeah, we all contribute. Like the way we write our songs, we
Sorry.
yeah, the way we write our songs, I like each song's like a film. What's going on?
They're raiding the fridge next to me,
Okay.
and they don't know how what's it works Zoom. So every time they make a noise, it picks up on me there. But they're going to go in the garden in a minute.
Yeah,
Give some lemonade and we'll have some fun in the garden anyway. Sorry.
No,
yeah.
Right. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we kind of envision our songs like little films, and they've got like the 3-act structure and stuff. So, like a lot of our songs, if you hear a riff and you really like it, tough luck because you're never going to hear it again. Rarely repeat the same riffs. They're always moving forward to different places. So yeah, it's kind of our signature now.
So, David, were your contributions then, were you worried about how the other guys would accept it, or were you confident in your own material?
Yeah, I mean, I've not always been a bassist. So, I mean, I've played bass before, but I do play guitar. So it's just getting a decent bass line, which has been good. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a bit of a challenge there. And we, if one of us thinks that something's not right, you have to say it, that's it. But pretty much it's pretty homogenic, we get together and we build it ourselves, there. It is good like that. Yeah. We're pretty switched on. We do a lot of demoing in the rehearsal room and stuff like that, so it's not wine, by the way. We do a lot of demoing.
I'm keeping it in.
She's nipping out with a book fast there. She's only 10. But a lot of demoing, getting we're really into getting the right time and everything so we can reciprocate that live. Just getting the right notes in the right place, yeah. It's great because I think we're all perfectionists in Agvirre as well, Well, maybe not me, but I'm just learning that at the moment, everyone knows where they want to be with something. So we've all got to come together to that, which is great, yeah.
Well, you brought in my next point very nicely there with everybody being perfectionist. So how do you negotiate with Agvirre? Is very much a very experimental band. You've got a lot of other characteristics coming into the song. So how do you negotiate what stays in and what goes out of a song? I mean, I'm anticipating blood on the walls and fisticuffs in the studio and things like that.
No, it's never come to that. It's a tough question. We don't like. I don't know. It's hard. We go by the feeling. So if it feels right, it usually stays. I don't know. Sometimes we have a little bit of trial and error. So we might have one passage you write, and maybe if it doesn't quite feel right, we'll just try it another way, or just change one note, or just change up a little bit. Don't know. I think we're all working towards the same vision, so it just sort of we all know what we like. So
yeah.
Is David the guy that goes in a huff when his idea isn't thrown in?
No, don't think any of us do.
No. We get on well like that, There's good chemistry.
No drama, is there?
No.
Well, boring.
So see, with you mentioned something earlier about a virtual gig, but I was just wondering, did you, because you just released your debut EP, I think it was in January 2020, so you never really got a chance to promote it, as you said. Did you think of when you could get back in the studio, doing a live cam kind of gig and release that? Did you talk about that in the rehearsal room or anything?
We've been talking about it very recently, haven't we, Frenchie?
Yeah.
It's something that we're not against. You know, we might do another live session, like a studio one this time. You know, with our own kit. The live stream we did last time was it was a quick, 10-minute turnaround with the band that was in before. So obviously, he sounds a bit different and everything there. You don't get the line checks you'd like. Whereas we're going to go into a studio with the idea of it being a bit of a video as well and get our sound. We might actually do it at the studio where we record it as well. We're not 100% yet, but yeah, it'd be a great thing to do, It'll be full of dry ice and fireworks, and you name it, Maybe a few celebrities thrown in there, you never know.
Pyro. Spandex.
Again, as we said, it's all about keeping the name out there. I mean, if you don't do anything on social media for 6 months, people just forget who you are. So it's just keeping the name active, So, so again, because you couldn't get together, like I was wondering if you had, if you were also talking about promoting the album in the form of a video as well. Did you think of doing that?
Yeah, we've had ideas for doing like a proper music video. It's more like it's hard financially to do. It's like when you look at, say, like the idea we've had, it would require sets and actors and film crew. And when we looked into the cost, it was like just as expensive as going into the studio for a week and getting a record mixed and mastered. So that's why we thought just doing a live studio sesh, it would be a lot cheaper and a good way to like promote the next record. So it seems more realistic at this point in time. Hopefully if we get a bit bigger, then maybe we can do a music video someday.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. And like I said earlier on as well, it's good to see social media getting filled up with flyers for gigs and posters for gigs then. So what plans do you have towards the end of this year, and do you have anything for the beginning of next year planned?
We're sort of Badger's putting on a show for us with Dawn Raid from Liverpool and Underdark, who are from Nottingham. They're on the same label as us, Surviving Sounds.
Very good.
That's in September at Factory Records in Manchester. So we're really looking forward to that.
Cool.
And obviously Badgerfest is the month after. So
looking forward to Badgerfest. I've tried to get down the last couple of years, but this is the first one that we're going to be there. So don't think this is going to be the last interview that we're going to have, because there's going to be a whole team from Moshville Times, and we've got like a section already at the bar, so we're going to be there. So if I see you, I'll just tell you to keep walking. No, I'll tell you to come over, and we'll have another chat and things like that. So we are all really looking forward to Badgerfest as well. But I've got a couple of questions before we keep going back to Badgerfest though. So where do you rehearse and record your songs?
Where did you say?
Yes.
We rent our own private room in Brunswick Mill in Ancoats in Manchester. So it's very close to the city centre.
Are you all quite local, so it's easy for everybody?
Yeah, we're all Manchester based, although most of us don't come from Manchester, actually.
I'm a Yorkshireman. Ricardo's Portuguese. Frenchie's from Gloucester. Yeah? And John's from up in Wigan. He's one of them Wigan pieheads, isn't he? So, a bit of a mongrel breed, Proper melting pot, but it's all good. It's all good, yeah.
Definitely, man, definitely. Again, just because you're talking about all the band members there, having known you guys for some time on social media, things seem to be very settled on the band members front. So we kind of talked about it a wee bit, but it's quite hard, like keeping. I think there's 5 in the band now. Is that right?
4 solid.
We have 4 live members, and we sometimes bring in extra musicians on our studio recordings. Yeah, like we had the violins on letting go in the silence, and we've got some different instruments on the next one. Yeah.
So it's a bit of a mishmash of everything, but extremely looking forward to hearing it. And certainly, again, once it's ready, send it to us over at Moshville, and we'll certainly get it.
Definitely.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's great. Thanks very much for that, guys. We've talked about Badgerfest a couple of times, but as everybody knows, because it's all over social media, it was sold out, and because of the new legislations, more tickets are available, but that's heading towards being sold out again. So well done to John. So you're playing Badgerfest in October this year, so I take it you must be looking forward to playing Badgerfest then, a very local gig to yourselves.
Yeah, it got cancelled last year, so that was a big disappointment for us in October when that one went through, especially for John, because he puts a lot of work in for it. So I'm just hoping this year it pays him back, like 2 years of hard work, a lot of dedication. He does put a lot into it. A lot of great bands, the lineup is solid, taking everything into account, what's happened the past couple of years. He's got a good lineup. We're on the Friday night, we've done well because are we second headlining? Is that right, Frenchie? Is that right?
Or it might be in the middle. I think Basement Torture Killings got added, so I think they're the second headline.
Yeah.
We're right in between two grindcore bands, It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, fitting nicely. But again, it's a festival where I don't think the fans don't care what kind of music you're into. They'll all give you a chance and they'll all listen to you. And I think that's what John's trying to accomplish. It's just bring the whole local scene together. And it's certainly getting bigger and bigger every year. And it's certainly good for you guys because it's not going to be many travel expenses, So
yeah. Yeah.
But are there any other bands? I'm just wondering with Badgerfest then, is there any other bands in the bill that you're looking forward to playing and watching yourselves?
Well, for me, it's Everest Queen. Love those guys.
Just interviewed them a couple of weeks ago. Really, really cool guys as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that one. It was brilliant.
Thanks.
Really looking forward to Grief Ritual. They're on before us.
Yeah.
I've got both their records. But I've not actually seen them in person or play live, so I think they're going to tear our heads off.
Cool. What about yourself, David?
There's just so many on there. I mean, you got Raging Speed on, which is just they've been going forever, so that's going to be a complete buzz to see them.
So you guys going to be there the whole weekend then? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just going to be a good vibe. And, if it does go ahead, what we're on October, it's 2-3 months.
Yeah.
People are just going to be going mad for it because they've waited that long for it. We deserve it. It's going to be brilliant. Yeah, really looking forward to it. It's going to be sweaty.
So I usually ask every other band on Badgerfest this question, but it's a bit silly asking you guys this because he's a member of the band and you've kind of answered the question earlier, but it was just was it a case of he heard your early material and he wanted in, it was easy to convince him to join, or did he take any convincing and he just wanted to get you guys in the bill?
Yeah, I mean, we're just very glad he sort of approached us, and then we sent him the demos. He was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot, and then he pretty much nailed the whole EP on the first practice. It was like, yeah. So now we couldn't really imagine playing with another drummer. I don't think it would work.
I think this is some of his fastest work. So it's a test of strength for him as well. Especially if you've got. Will you guys be playing for 30 or 40 minutes?
Somewhere about I think we're getting 30 minutes to this, so
you'll play,
we're lucky we get 3 songs.
I
might just squeeze in 3 songs.
Yeah.
I think Agvirre is a good challenge for all of us. It's quite challenging music. We like to push ourselves, and hopefully we challenge the listeners as well. Put them out of their comfort zone a bit, give them something to work for.
Yeah. So David, with the two gigs that you've played, especially the live one, then did Frenchie miss any keys or anything like that? Any riffs out of place?
He forgot his microphone. He forgot his microphone at one point. But to be honest with you, like everyone come over at the end of the show, a load of mates. He said, "Your frontman's a bit of a loony, isn't he?" That's like, yeah. You know, to look at Frenchie, you might not think that, but like when he's in his element, the microphone's out there, he's in the crowd, in the faces. It's brilliant. Yeah, it's great to see that. It's visceral. You know, that's what you want out of a gig, definitely. Yeah. And so he left his mark on these people.
You're not a typical vocalist where you just stand in front of the mic. Then you'll be in amongst it all. You'll be in my face and Badgerfest, will you?
Yeah, so at the first gig we did, I was able to like get in with the crowd, and obviously not been able to do that for a while. So as long as it's like safe and you know the crowd's comfortable, I'll be happy to get in people's faces again.
Well, people you have been warned. You have been warned. But you guys, you're currently signed to Trepanation Records. So how did that one come about, and how's the relationship been with them so far?
Oh, brilliant. Dan's the man. So it's run by Dan Dolby, who plays in Mastiff as well. So, yeah, we were super chuffed. So, yeah, they put out the Silence EP. So they did Trepanation did the CD, and Surviving Sounds did the cassette tape, which was their first ever release. And with Trepanation, like we'd like they'd only had like a few releases at that point, and I'd liked them all, and they'd done really well. So we were super glad to do it. And now the label's like really flying, and they've got loads of bands signed, and it's like so we feel really chuffed that we got to be on the label so early into the lifespan. Yeah.
Well, good. Hopefully bigger and better things will come from it. But that kind of leads me very nicely into my next question then. So before the internet, magazines and fanzines were the places to find out about new bands and trends, but now publications are being replaced with thousands of websites catering for all genres. So do you think that some of the passion's been lost, or do you think that the internet has been a good thing for music and a good thing for Agvirre? And I would like an opinion from you, both of you.
Okay. Frenchie first, go on.
All right. Well, I work as a journalist. I've done a lot of journalism myself for like metal magazines and stuff. So I like the best of both worlds. I still love print media, and I think that really needs to continue. But I like that there's so many online platforms as well. Anyone can just start a blog and voice their opinions, and that's great. And I think there's like more of an even limelight. You don't have to be a huge band on a huge label to get talked about anymore. Like people will talk about the little bands on the small DIY labels. Yeah. And also a really big fan of Bandcamp. I don't think this band would exist without Bandcamp. We've had such a good response on that platform. We've had loads of international sales just from using Bandcamp, and it's Bandcamp really like helps artists and supports artists. So yeah, it's a good time to be a musician. Yeah,
that's something I was going to ask. Like, so you said about international. Like, which countries have you reached out to?
Loads. I think we found out that like half our sales have been international, which is kind of weird. So we've had sales in like Japan, Taiwan, Scandinavia, lots of mainland Europe ones. We did really well in like the US and Canada for sales as well. So
that's
yeah,
it.
Really chuffed.
So obviously the internet is good for things in some ways, but what do you think, David? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I'm a traditionalist. I like to go into a shop and buy a CD or a record, but I think all this whole pandemic, you know, it's coming to its own, you know, much as hate to say there's been anything good come out of it. You know, the music sales, people can listen to music still, you know, and they can get out there and still enjoy it, you know. I like a physical format, you know. I like to have like records and, you know, CDs and stuff like that. But Bandcamp, like Frenchie said, it's been a blessing to us. You know, when we're hitting sales in Mexico, there's people have heard us in Australia. You know, we haven't got in touch with them. Someone else has opened a magazine up and we've been in it in Australia. I think, yeah, why not? We've got to embrace this, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely like a double-edged sword type thing. I mean, I've still got my tapes in there. I grew up in an age where CDs should be burned. But there was nothing better, like if I was to send you guys like a couple of pounds and you guys send me a demo, you send me a letter with it. A couple of days later, I would get it through the post. I would open it up and there would be a letter with it from you guys, and there'll be the tape and their flyers and stuff like that. And you listen to it and you're like, don't know if I like it. But because you've invested in it, you listen to it again and again and then make up your mind. But now you're saying platforms like Bandcamp, you can listen to a song for 10 seconds, oh, that's shit. And because there's so many other millions of bands that are available now, you can just dismiss bands so easily now and just move on to the next one. So
yeah, that is a good point. I think it's easier to make music now and it's easier to start a label. So there are more there's more music out there than there's ever been. So it can be harder to stand out. And maybe I think people they might really love a band for a couple of weeks and then they'll move on quicker. So just gotta roll with the punches really. But yeah, like I said, it is a double-edged sword. There's pros and cons of the whole thing really.
I mean, I interviewed last week Maurizio from Cataclysm and X-Deal. And he was saying when you were signed as a band, it was a huge thing. Now you can just make up your own name and produce your own albums in your bedroom, you know. And I've got a deal. I'm signed, you know, because you're on Spotify. You've got a distribution network, you know. So it's tricky. I'm a wee bit of a traditionalist as well, a wee bit.
I'm like you, Ricky. I like tape trading. You're like where you'd send your $5 US. I've still got a drawer of US dollars upstairs, you know, from tape trading where people would send me US dollars. I'm never going to go to America, you know. It's one of those. I've still got these dollars upstairs. I don't even think they're worth anything now. But you know, you trade tape. It was a good scene. That, you know, you get a letter back off someone from Mexico. He always wanted his stamps back. I don't know why he wanted his. He was very keen to get his stamps back for some reason, you know. Yeah. And he'd send you hundreds of flyers. You'd stick them in your next envelope, send it on to your mate in Sweden. It was a good scene. I suppose this is just the updated version. You can actually talk to them now, which is scary.
Yeah, with everything nowadays, we've got to adapt. We've got to change, otherwise you'll die. So this is the way to do things now until the next thing comes along. But listen, thank you very much for. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys. But before we go, I do have one question left, and I'll probably have to start another 40-minute session with this. This is where we get to the opportunity to talk about the instruments that you use, your gear, your setup. So, so go for it, Chris. You go first. Then, what guitar do you have, and what's your setup, your pedals, and whatnot?
Well, I played guitar on the Silence EP a bit, but when I perform live, I've got an old. I'm usually playing keyboards. So I've got an old Yamaha keyboard from the 90s. Pretty basic, to be honest, but gets those old Dungeon synth Casio sort of black metal vibes. But I also use a laptop with Ableton and doing electronic stuff, samples. And I've got a little floor tom next to me as well, so I can double up some of the percussive elements and then just doing vocals. Our guitarist, what's Ricardo got now? I can't remember. Is it
guitar wise, he's got a Schecter and he's also got a PRS, hasn't he?
I think he likes using the Schecter lately.
Yeah. Good choice. Yeah.
Cool, but Chris, with you also being the vocalist, then have you went through a range of microphones before you finally settled on the one that you want, or are you give me a microphone and I'll sing in it?
I've had the same shit mic since God for years. It's about time I upgraded actually. Yeah, I usually just I worry I'm going to break mics, to be honest.
So David is a wee bit destructive on stage, is he?
Oh my God, like, I'm the worst person with mic stands. I've played in other bands in the past doing screaming, and mic stands just break on me at every gig I play. As soon as I touch a mic stand, it just explodes. They're useless.
You're like launching them out of hotel windows. That's what I said.
Right.
Yeah.
The truth.
Yeah, I hate mic stands. Someone please build me a mic stand that won't break, because I can never get through a gig.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Go for it, David. What's your setup, mate?
I've got a Schecter bass, which I'm in love with. Yeah, it's got like neon orange strings, which is a bit out of the ordinary there.
There's that glam influence coming back in again, you see.
It was just something a bit different, I got with it, and I thought, yeah, I like this. They show up well on stage and everything. It's really good, nice to play, actually. I've recently acquired a dark glass. I've got a microtubes pedal, which I'm in love with, because that's got some really nice distortion through it there. And then I've got a Yamaha old school effects rack for chorus and all the other shit that we use with the Agvirre there. And I'm putting it all through orange head as well, which I do like my orange head there. It's
I never would have guessed it was orange. I don't know what gave it away.
Yeah.
The bag.
They don't sell themselves on the name.
So the strings, is it 4 or 5 string?
5, yeah.
Chris, is he just showing off, or does he actually use the 5th string?
Yeah, he likes to go one extra.
Good stuff. But like I say, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. So where would we find Agvirre on social media then?
Yeah, we're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Bandcamp. We're even on the Spotify. We're pretty active on the social medias. If we can help it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I'm looking forward to seeing you live. I'm looking forward to playing your single on the radio tonight. And
that'd be brilliant. Thank you.
I'll repeat play. Moshville Times will do all that we can to promote you guys, because you're worth promoting. But if you do jump in the crowd and you do want to punch somebody, if you punch me, you're getting dropped. I just want to say that and put that out there. My face is ugly enough as it is. So, but like I say, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys, and I look forward to seeing you at Badgerfest, if not before. Just the one quick thing then, just talking about that. Like, have you ever thought about coming up north? Ever thought about coming up to Scotland?
Oh, we'd love to. We love to travel. We have this bad luck. Whenever we get offered gigs outside of Manchester, there's always like one of us can't do it for some reason, which is really annoying. So tell your Scottish friends we'd love to come to play in Scotland. Yeah.
Whereabouts are you, Ricky, in Scotland?
I'm in Glasgow. But
really?
Yeah, just to forewarn you though, like because of COVID and things like that, we've rebuilt Hadrian's Wall, so we're not letting you in. But yeah, I mean Glasgow's got an equally strong scene as Manchester. There's so many venues that you could play. There's so many promoters.
Yes.
And I think with this COVID nonsense, everybody's just dying for a gig. I mean. There's about 5 or 6 clubs that are just hundreds of yards from each other, and you worry about that. Like each club can have a gig on every night, so you would kind of minimise the crowd. But with everything that's happened, I can just see people turning up to gigs. I don't have any problem. But if you do come up, I would recommend Edinburgh as well.
Yes, love Edinburgh.
Love Edinburgh. Yeah.
I know you've got places like Dundee and Perth, but I would also recommend Aberdeen as well. Aberdeen are like crying out for gigs. Nobody goes up there. So when they do get gigs up there, there's always a good attendance, you know. So Scotland does have a few good places to play.
Definitely tell your promoter friends. I think we just got offered a gig in Glasgow and we really wanted to do it, but we couldn't. I think one of us was on holiday that week, so that was really frustrating. So
well, if it's David, then I'm sure you could replace him.
No, it's Ricardo. He's the most talented one.
I just turned up for the special, bro.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah, we would love to play Scotland. Yeah. So hopefully the stars will align soon. Yeah.
My funny story. My friend, have you heard of a band called Esoteric from Birmingham? They've been going for a long time. Yeah. Well, they were doing a gig at Berwick-on-Tweed once. I mean, this is back in the the 90s, I think mid-90s there. And the van they were driving in, my mate, it was session drumming for him at the time. The van set on fire in the middle of nowhere on Berwick. You know what it's like around there. And they had to get out of the van and just watch like £10,000 of kit burn in front of their eyes. It was horrific, honestly. There, you know. So I'm dubious about coming that way. If we're coming straight up the M6. We're not going the east route. All right, yeah, definitely.
Speaking of Glasgow bands, we're fans of Bosphorus. They're from Glasgow.
Yes,
they're a brilliant band, and they're on Trepanation. So shout out to Bosphorus. They're great.
Good shout. But I mean, like I say, even Dumfries. There's a good, like for example, death metal bands, Blood Threads, and Nails get a good crowd down in Dumfries. It's just everywhere. It's just promoting it right, getting it promoted right, you know. But like I say, when you do come up to Scotland, I look forward to seeing you. But I'll see you at Badgerfest.
Yes, hopefully soon. Yeah.
You'll get to get to Scotland. Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Yeah.
Good stuff. I'll see you at the bar. Right. Catch you later, guys. Cheers. Thanks
Ricky.
Thank you very much.
Right. Cheers.
Have a good one.